uncovering the cause of fear can be sort of like peeling an onion. Many people live their lives built on excuses. I hate parties. I'm afraid to go out. I get panic attacks or I'm tired. All of these are like a bunch of layers from an onion hiding the main space, the core. We're only born with one instinctive fear, which is the fear of falling. This fear, of course, is connected with the primal fear, which is the fear of death. Since all creatures' prime directive is survival, often this core fear develops in childhood when we feel helpless and vulnerable. Children quickly learn to fear illness, starvation, abandonment, because after all, the result of any of those is, you got it, death. Now, of course, it seems ridiculous growing up in a happy middle class family or even in an unhappy struggling family for a 4-year old to worry about starvation. But they do, although it's often unconscious. The quietly developed survival strategies even the most loving parents wouldn't dream of. They learn to be aggressive, to protect themselves. Or they become super nice, always staying out of the way, trying not to take up too much space. Or maybe they turn into overachievers, trying to prove their worth. Somewhere along the line, the chosen survival strategy becomes a habit. The fear of starvation, abandonment, whatever, disappears from memory, and all that's left is a gnawing anxiety every time the grown up child tries to deviate from the pattern developed many years before. Of course, not everyone grew up in a perfect home. Real trauma can lead to all kinds of fears in adult life: abusive parents, a devastating illness, the unexpected death of a loved one. Many events can create an indelible impression that affects the rest of your life. Sometimes children create imagined traumas that lie buried beneath their adult selves, unaware that a misinterpreted memory is sabotaging their happiness. Whether the trauma is real or imagined, remembered or forgotten, becomes irrelevant when you decide to address your current fears. All the investigating and intellectualizing in the world will not alter the program you've had running in your mind body system, because there has been a physiological change to your brain. Psychology calls this manifestation post traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. The only way to change the program is to reorganize the mind body system. This doesn't necessarily mean that any damage is going to be reversed, but you can put a roadblock on the negative and create new positive neural pathways that run through the brain and creates new habits. One of the best ways to improve the function of the nervous system is to learn. One of the best ways to learn is to take time to be with yourself. The following exercises are not intended for you to recall or analyze past events. You may or may not discover the initial causes of your fears. However, you will come closer and hopefully seeing how these fears affect every aspect of your life in the present moment. And then from there, you can begin to take more concrete action and create positive change in your life. Let's look at unresolved issues. Sit down with your notebook or journal or on a sheet of paper and make 2 columns. Head the first column issues. The second column, what am I afraid of? Then let your mind wander for a few minutes. Without thinking too much, in the first column, quickly list 5 unfinished or unresolved issues that you feel may be hanging over you. For example, call about selling the car, talk to mom regarding dad's clothes, pay the electric bill, sort drawers, settle argument with Jerry. Anything that you can think of that could be causing stress or agitation in your life. Now, under the second column named What Am I Afraid of? Write down the fear that pops up next to each issue. Your mind may hesitate. After all, why should I be afraid of calling about the car? Certainly, I'm not afraid to pay the electric bill. Even if it seems silly, just allow whatever fear appears in your mind to sit right next to that task. If absolutely nothing comes up, let it go. Your mind will eventually wander back to it. Now, your list may seem like there's some silly minor things or they sound silly, but such apparently minor issues can really show you your deepest fears. Maybe you're afraid no one will buy your car. Does this mean that your car is worthless and therefore so are you? Is that how you feel? Or are you afraid that no one will buy it and therefore you won't be able to afford your new car and you'll lose your car, your house, your wife, and so on and on and on it goes? Our fears seem silly to the intellectual mind, but they still remain locked in our bodies unless we listen to the deeper questions rocking around inside each event. If mom freaks out, will she not love you more? You know intellectually, of course, that that's not true. But your childhood fear of rejection by a parental figure keeps you from dealing with something apparently small. Even though the fear you put beside each issue seems small, if you dig deep enough, you will see that it connects to some type of anxiety about survival, rejection, starvation, or harm. Try it, and you'll see that if we keep asking why to each answer to our questions, we will eventually get to the root of the problem and pull it out for good.